And I think sometimes we fail to come across that way. And that's why we get the whole Christians are so judgmental. And it's got to be, it's way more than that.
I think that goes back to what we've been saying for a while now about discipleship. It's like, we need to be walking hand in hand with these people, like when they join the church, and let them know that it's okay to stumble because we stumble. But if we pretend like we don't stumble, if we sit here and say, "Oh well, I'm not tempted," when I never fall to the temptation, bull. Every one of us do, and I think it's kind of a thing that we're tempted so that we can show new Christians it's okay, it's all right. I kind of related to there are some kids that I just don't relate to because I've never grown up in that kind of, like, there are kids who don't have a mom at home or a dad at home, and I can't necessarily relate to that because I've always had both parents at home, and so I've got to find a different way to relate to those kids.
I think that's exactly what I said in this chapter. God has placed you exactly in the place where you're at right now for this very reason, because of the circumstances that's in your life and deal with people.
I'm not sure what other book that was also in is. We read it here in Coffee Talk. Maybe it was Richard Foster or something, that God has, you are perfectly positioned to impact where you are. God has you there for a reason. Just so often we just overlook that. We get caught in the routine of life and we miss the opportunities that God places in front of us. And
I want to say Not a Fan had that in it.
It might have been Not a Fan. I don't know. It was.
I want to say Not a Fan had something like that.
I'm sure the Bible does. And
I'm sure the Bible does. I think it's in the Bible somewhere.
But I love the parable of the lost sheep too, just getting on it. And we've talked about this before, is the lack of rejoicing, especially that we see in every church today. Not in every church, I'm sorry, in most churches today, because there are some that just use that as a celebration. But we see somebody saved and we just do the golf clap. You know, and here Jesus is saying, if he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices it more than over the 99 who never went astray.
Well, even that, the fact that he left the 99 just to go get that one. I mean, most people would be like, let's think about the greater good more than we do the individual.
Let's worry about keeping the 99 than going after the one.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's the complete opposite of what the Christianity should be. So, all right, we've got the numbers here. Those aren't the ones that are astray. Let's go get the ones that are astray, or those shouldn't be the ones that are astray.
Yeah,
but
that's an inward focus versus an outward focus.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that you're willing to leave everyone else to go get that one, just so that one could be saved. Because that's the idea we have to have. We can't save 99 at a time. We can save one at a time.
Well, the 99 is safer than the one that's out there by itself. For the shepherd to go away and leave the flock, they're going to take care of each other, or they should be watching after each other.
Yeah, I never thought about it this way, this parable, but the title of this in my Bible is Jesus warns against looking down on others. Never really thought about it that way, but this is a different way to take it.
I can definitely see how it relates to the humility part up in the beginning of the chapter. You know, the one goes astray, the 99 are sitting there saying, "Look, we're the greatest here. We didn't leave. We got this stuff together." And obviously, they're missing the whole point here.
Where's the humility? And I go back to the children, and as Parvin was saying, the literal translation of the children, the neglect. I think of James 1:27 or 1:26, where it says, "Pure and undefiled religion is this, that you take care of the widows and the orphans." You know, how big of an opportunity do we have, especially in today's world, to reach out and care for that orphan, that widow? You know, it's big today. It's there. We have the opportunity to love, even if it's for 3 weeks or a week or 2 days. You know, it's that opportunity that, I just think just about foster care, and Paul was sharing with us that he's got 3 in respite right now. They had 4. They have an opportunity right now. They only have these kids through Sunday, and they have an opportunity right now. You have them through Sunday, right, Paul?
No, just till today.
Oh, just through today. He has an opportunity to love those kids through today. And we're back. All right. Sorry for the little break there, listeners.
The TD, the technical difficulty.
Yeah, it's part of it. Satan didn't like us talking about spreading rumors and gossiping in a business meeting. I don't know what it was. He wanted to make sure that continued. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, we got a little bit of time left. I want to make sure we hit some of this stuff in multiply because it directly relates to what we were just talking about in Matthew 18. And we're in part 2.2, but it would technically be like chapter 6, I think, or something like 5. But how he designs this is very... very crazy, but anyway.
I like question 2 right off the bat, where he says, would you say that your church that the life of your church is characterized by love? Why or why not? And the answer to that is like 30% yes, 70% no. I would say that there is a small minority that is working its way there, but there's still resistance from a majority.
And you know what? That's just part of it. And then I think a question to do that, and I don't know if he went on to do this. Yeah, what steps can we take to help ensure that our church, even personally or any church that we're a part of, it is doing this? Do you see what I'm saying?
The first step.
How do we get to that point? How do we lead people to recognize, to have an attitude of love? And living that out in our own life.
I think the first step is those who are causing all the issues or who are refusing to live with the love is to just love on those people. I think as hard as that is, because sometimes you just want to just like hit somebody, you just got to show them what it means to be a church of love.
It's also intentionally remembering to pray for those people.
Yeah.
Because it escapes my mind all the time. Why would I pray for somebody that makes me mad and I don't even want to associate with?
Yeah.
And obviously that's convicting. I shouldn't be praying for them.
Doesn't the Bible say something like that? Like, pray for those who persecute you, pray for your enemies or something like that?
It might.
No.
Love on your enemies and pray for those who
I haven't gotten to
persecute
that part. Quit ruining it.
No, we've already passed that part in the
we're way
Bible.
past that
That wasn't like the Sermon on the Mount or something. That's like the first thing the disciples were taught. And I think it was so important that they were taught that is because the second... I mean, think about it. Right after the Sermon on the Mount, what happens is Jesus starts encountering his enemies. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, those people who would be like opposing his ministry. And so he taught them this lesson because they were going to practically see it immediately.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think one of the best things we can do is one of the core values is irrational sacrifice. And I think that any sort of sacrifice given on behalf of someone eventually should break through, hopefully. Especially irrational sacrifice. Lay down your life for it. That's going to cause some sort of ramification.
Yeah. It says right off the bat, his plan of redemption involves the church working in unity to reach the people around. That's like right in paragraph 1. And then he goes down in the next paragraph and says, when every member takes this seriously, it makes for a healthy church. And then the next paragraph he says, his plan of redemption will not be completed if we are satisfied with those who are already on the inside, the 99. If we're just focused on that, an inwardly focused church is an unhealthy church, it's a dying church. Because it's about the one. It's about going out. It's about the people that are outside around us. And so, inwardly focused, or are we outwardly focused? And that is very easily determined. And we just have to make sure that we continue to lead people to an outwardly focused vision.
Because, an inwardly focused vision is going to eventually cause that church. It may take 40 years wandering in the wilderness, but it will eventually die off. That church will die off. If you're just 100% inwardly focused, you're never going to grow. Because how are you going to reach out to people? And so
I'm thinking the only inwardly focused program should be discipleship.
Yeah.
And equipping the saints to go and be outwardly focused.
Yeah.
Instead of,
which is still kind of outwardly focused.
Aerobics and whatever other churches.
Zumba. And
those things are great, but those aren't church activities. Those are just activities. Jesus didn't call the church to lose 35 pounds and be able to run miracles. He called the church to go out into the world.
Paul says we're running a race. Paul says we're running a race, Logan.
True, that's true. We need to put it straight. But, I mean, it's very hard.
Got to build that endurance.
There's, retaliation. Well, we come to the church because it's a hospital. We want to please ourselves, basically, and be doctored up. I mean, there's validity in that, but again, that's not the point. That's hard to argue with.
Well, we cannot. It says on the next page, right before question 1, we cannot fulfill our mission unless we serve one another in love. Okay, key there in love. But living together in a tight-knit circle is not our ultimate goal. And so often we really want to do that. We want to hunker around each other, create this little bubble to make sure that nobody penetrates the bubble. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is, I would say, most every denomination is guilty of this. Because we don't want to allow, we say, you must be this denomination to enter into our Christian bubble. You must be this way to enter into our Christian. You must have this belief to enter our Christian bubble.
Must have been
Wait a second here. Last I checked, it was about Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. So if we are together in Jesus, and Jesus is the way, and we're preaching Jesus, that's how you get into this. That's what it's all about. It is all about Jesus Christ, and it's not about anything else. And we need to make sure that we make it all about Jesus Christ, and make sure we're not preaching a gospel contrary to the gospel that Jesus preached.
I think we just have to go back and remember the thief on the cross. I mean, like, the thief on the cross did not have time to join 20 programs and be baptized by submersion and all that. No. All he did was accept Christ, and that's it. And guess what Jesus said to him? I will see you in heaven. That's all he said to him. Right?
And we're not going to downplay baptism. I think baptism is important, but...
but if we're making that like a deciding factor on whether you are truly saved or not, that's
a problem.
That's a problem. I mean, like, because all it took for the thief on the cross was to say, hey, I truly, genuinely, with all my heart believe that this is the Son of Man. And because he didn't really have time for the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. And he says on page 69 that it says, haven't we all heard the objections from unbelievers who point to the divisions in the church as a cause for their disbelief? If we can't even get it right within our own, body of so-called believers, then how are we supposed to get anybody else in? Come along with us. Who wants to come into a train wreck?
Yeah. Basically is they should notice a love like they have never seen. By looking at the church, they should notice a love like they have never seen. And that's challenging to me individually, is because when people look at my life or look at my involvement with the church, do they see a love like they have never seen? What are my actions within that? What are my words? How do I display that? And that is very, very difficult.
I think one of the things in this chapter what's hard to do is he preaches church unity. And unless we're all focused on the same thing, which we should be focused on in church, it's really hard to be united. And if you're not united, then people see that. From the outside, they see the cracks in the foundation. If you're all not united in this thing you're supposed to be so happy about, and that's supposed to be the core of your entire life before all others, including your family, your friends, your job, and everything else, why would I get in on that if the foundation is cracked?
Right.
And you said that's a hard personal thing, but I think it's hard for the church too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you struggle with it, then and we're all supposed to be focused on the same thing.
Yeah,
I wonder how much of the problem is just size. I mean, we've talked before on how discipleship and groups only work to a point effectively. Eventually they get too big. I mean, obviously 300 people is not too big, but that synergy and that unity is tough. The church in Acts was 12 people and exploded.